What's happening, people? I'm Craig. This is Craig's Corner. Welcome to my little corner on the internet where I speak on topics and subjects that may be a bit triggering for some, but insightful for most, all the same. If you're curious to know who I am, I'm Craig. I'm from the east end of London, a place called Bethnal Green, to be exact, is where I'm originally from. Tower Hamlets is the borough that I was born in, and I've lived all over it. And I've had a bit of a journey. So I'm sharing insights on how I've navigated through that and how I got to where I am today, because there's a lot of people that always ask me so many questions. How did you navigate that? So many times that I thought it's about time that I share it like this, rather than just use my poetry as insight or the little bit of writing that I do on Substack. A little bit of a plug there. I've just started the Substack, by the way. And my Instagram is at Craig Collins 1111, the same as on Substack. I'm Craig B Collins, and here my handle is at Craig Collins 1111, so the same handle as Instagram. And the channel is called Craig's Corner. And welcome. Again, my insights into how I've got to where I am today are a little bit unconventional to a lot of people, though insightful to most. Like I said, the circumstances and challenges that I've navigated through ain't been the easiest, I have been to prison. I have been through quite a lot of negative experiences, a lot of challenges, and I am where I am today for that reason, because I've been able to navigate them and get to where I am today. So that's why I want to speak on the topics I do, where I am. So I want to talk about the initial stages of wanting to make the shift. I want to say make the shift, I mean make the shift in sense of a way of thinking, patterns of thinking, the illusions that we can fall under. Sometimes we can often find ourselves wearing masks, the illusion of ego, how that represents, and some of the challenges that can arise from living in it and existing in a world that we know internally is no good for us, though we're so deep in the trenches with our masks on, gas masks on, navigating through the swamp and the chaos, and that we forget to stand still and take it off and have a good look at ourselves sometimes. And it's something that I've had to do quite a few times in my life. So hence the reason I speak the way I do. I'm 38 years old. I've spent 11 years of my life behind a door in total. I've had 2 sentences. My first sentence I got 3.5 years, and my second sentence I got life. I was given an IPP sentence. It was a weird kind of life sentence here in the UK. It was around for quite a few years, and it's abolished now because it didn't work. It's a sentence that warrants a sentence of up to 99 years imprisonment, though you're given a tariff to serve before you're considered for parole hearings or moving forwards through the system via the categories. Here in the UK, we work by, if you're not from the UK, that's how it works here. And the system is the system, so you have ACAT, which is maximum security, BCAT, which is the normal local prisons where most people go to. You have dispersals and remand centres. CCAT, which is lower security, a lot more amenities and more pleasurable parts. And then you have the D categories, which is the open side of things, where you go to work. And so here in the UK, we've got D-cat when you go work. Go work all day, come back. You come back, you got key to your room, everything. No lock-up or nothing, it's just you're in the prison serving a sentence still, but you're deemed low enough risk that you're able to be in the community and do so. And so for me, the major turnaround for my life was during the sentence. And it was because I was given an opportunity to go to a place called Millfields. And it was a pilot project set up as a therapeutic community for people with personality disorders. And it was all offenders being treated for a multitude of personality disorders for an array of crimes. Trigger warning, some of them were sex offenders. And I say trigger warning because a lot of people can't handle that side of things, and hearing that sometimes, and it can be a bit triggering. I mean, I won't be talking about other people's offences because they're not my own. I'll only ever talk about my own experiences from my own examples of me. because that's what I'm speaking about here. Though, yeah, I was sentenced for GBH Section 18, malicious wounding with intent, pretty much attempted murder. And that's why I was given life. It was highly violent, and I'm not proud of it. It's one of the most low points in my life, and I had to go through a long old process to process through to even be comfortable enough to just speak like that the way I did about being given a sentence for that crime, you know. And so I'm not a sex offender. I won't be talking about sex offenders, though. When I speak about Millfields, some things might come out about other sex offenders that I won't talk about their crimes per se, but I will mention stuff like that, the uncomfortable bits and pieces. Though this is a safe space. Again, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a coach, I'm not a businessman trying to sell you anything. I'm just simply a man just sharing my insight on how I've got to where I am today. Just sharing my ways and my values and how I've got to where I am mindset wise, you know. And it's a topic that quite a lot of people struggle with, and so many are trying to find themselves through these circumstances nowadays in 2026, especially a lot of younger people. I'm not sure if I've said or not, but I'm 38 years old. I've got 3 kids. They've got kids as well. Yeah, I'm a grandfather, and I was 16 when I had my first child, very young. I was 15 when I had my first flat, and I've lived a bit of a wild, chaotic life from the first initial years, even up to the first 14 years to the 14 years of my life to when I got my first sentence. I was barely 14 when I got that one. I got 3.5 years. I was in the Old Bailey for that one. And it was chaotic. You know, life was turbulent. I was in children's homes before that, and that was crazy. 16 different children's homes I was moved about. Within a space of 2 years, I was in 16 different children's homes. It was a bit crazy, that was. All over the city of London and all over little different parts, sporadic parts of the country itself, and here in the UK. So I've got to meet loads of different kind of people along the way, you know, different cultures and backgrounds and different circumstances and different people, different places, all into different things, which will tie right into the topic of discussion, is the subject of the mindset shifting from how I've moved through and moved away from and stopped doing and being around people, places and things that were no good for me. How I gained closure on that and closed out the cycles, and how I found closure, and how I'm able to move forwards now a little bit lighter, knowing that I'm able to do that and have the skill set and coping tools and mechanisms to be able to navigate through that. Now for me, because I've been through so many different challenges over and over again, I've had to navigate it over and over again. I'm pretty young. For me, understanding that the longing for closure keeps you longing for success, because you'll never get it. The moment you find closure within yourself and understand it's you that can close out things, you'll find that. And that's when you'll begin to move forward and shift through it. For me to get there, it took an understanding of myself a little bit better. I had to do it clear-minded, I had to do it sober. I have been a drinker in the past. I had a bit of a drinking habit. I had an addiction with drink for a while. And that was after I'd come out of prison and institutions, by the way. I found myself in toxic cycles once again, because I'm not perfect, though I do try to learn as best as I can and try and navigate it, that I don't repeat patterns like that, and I haven't done since. And this is where I am today, just wanting to share how I've done that and how I do that. I have, in the past, I say year, been dabbling with just drinking bottles of wine here and there once a month, or sometimes it got a bit to the point where it was like once a week, and I've tried to stop that. So I'm aware of that. It's something I may consider going completely teetotal again, which I was, because I don't smoke neither. I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't vape, I don't smoke weed, nothing like that. I don't do any other party drugs, nothing like that. I smoked weed when I was a kid, and I smoked cigarettes heavily for years, and I stopped when I was 28. I had a triple heart attack and almost died. So the day that happened was when I come out of St. Bart's Hospital. I looked at my tobacco pouch like that, I went, and I just happened to be standing next to a bin outside Bart's, and I went, yeah, maybe not. And I never smoked a fag again. I really didn't. And now I don't even like the smell. I'm the worst non-smoker, because I go, whoa, I walk down the street. Can't stand it. Can't stand the hiatus, as they used to say in the Millfield unit. Can't stand it hiatus for cigarette smoke now. And I was probably the worst one. I was always going, get me out on that yard for a burn. I used to smoke tobacco. We used to call it burn. Yeah, I want to burn. Get me out there. Get a lighter. Smoking in my room, trying not to get caught with lighters down my pants. I was the worst. I was. Though it took a triple heart attack to make me pack that one right in, you know, and I did. And thankfully, it helped me, because I was able to move through a lot of health issues on that sense, you know. And but I did find myself in an addiction with drink. I'd done that when I was a younger person. I'd smoked weed and was trying to substitute it with alcohol, and I ended up doing that again in the time I was out trying to cope around circumstances that I found myself in again. Toxic patterns of behaviour, cycles of behaviour do come around. They can manifest through new people in your life, through just allowing things to slip and not taking accountability for yourself, and allowing yourself to be in positions and being around people, places and things while specific things are happening. So knowing what's good for you and what's not is how I've been able, apologies for that, how I've been able to move through things is by recognizing me being in the positions I'm in is only through my own actions. Now, being accountable for myself, understanding being around specific people at specific places and times when they're doing specific things can put me in a position, as strong as you can believe yourself to be, go, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do this. Though you are the company you keep sometimes, and you can fall into them patterns of behaviour, especially if you're around them quite often and frequent. It's the truth, I'm afraid. I'm not saying look at everybody around you and be all like, ooh, should I do this, should I do this? Really and truly, you need to know yourself a little, you know? And that's the main point of all of this. Is my shift in perspective was understanding that I am accountable for myself and my own actions. I'm accountable for the kind of company I keep, and for the people I choose to be in friendships with, dynamics, for the places that I go to, for the places I can frequent and find myself in. People's houses, could be pubs, clubs, bars. I don't really do that neither, though. House parties, wherever it may be, whatever place you can solicit and go to and chill and do your whatnots and your whatnots. And whatever you do whilst you're there is always down to you, because you are not a puppet, you're not a marionette on strings. Your name's not Pinocchio. Geppetto's not your old man. If he is, please don't take that out of context. No disrespect to your old man Geppetto, but you're not a marionette all the same. Your name's not Pinocchio. You've not got a big old beak made out of wood that grows every time you tell a porky, and the same way no one else is going to make you do anything else that you shouldn't be doing or don't want to do apart from yourself, unless you're in control of you. So in order for you to make the shift in perspective and to come away from the things and dynamics and people, places and things, is to be accountable for yourself and your own actions and where you place yourself. And the way I do that is by understanding, taking accountability. And that was the shift that I made in perspective of understanding that this is no good for me. This is what I need to change. This is what I need to fix. That person might be going through this. So sometimes in life you can find yourself personally that some people in your life when you're going through a tough time, they might take a step back from you sometimes. Now, as a man of my own perspective, from that sense, I'd say don't take that too personal nowadays, because a lot of people are just as aware of this as I am now, understanding when people are going through something really turbulent and they're not able to see super clearly. Some people will take a little bit of a step back and say, whoa, that's a bit much for me. And it's important for you to understand that you need to do that too around others. And if you're able to see another person work through whatever issue they're going through and come to you and be accountable for themselves and go, can you believe I was doing this a bit, boom, 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 and you can see the patterns of behaviour changing us. Maybe when you can find yourself in circumstances, I'm not saying go back to the same people, places and things though, please understand and take note that people will step back from you, and that's what you need to do too. You step back from situations, you have a little look at yourself, look at the circumstance you found yourself in, why are you in there, and what can I do, what can I as a person do for myself in order to stop myself from being in positions of going around in circles and carrying on this malarkey myself. And that's just by being accountable for you and being at one with yourself and understanding your own in the world. So when you're at home and the door's shut, people, places and things aren't with you, it's just you, yourself. Etipsy Maycomb. Me, myself and I. Yes, you're alone with yourself. It's only yourself, and only you yourself can look in there, look in your own mind's eye. And it's only you can make little changes up there. And that's by looking at your own patterns of behaviour again. It's inwards. It's all within yourself. So next time you find yourself in an uncomfortable position, or find yourself feeling uncomfortable around people, or if you're in places and environments that you don't feel good, or if there's something you keep doing repetitively, like a habit, a behaviour, whatever that may be, it's no good for you, take a step back a little bit and have a look at yourself and say, why is this affecting me? Why is it affecting me? And be accountable for yourself. The moment you do that and you're able to do that is the shift. That's the start. And for me, I like to do it in a quiet space like this, very quiet space. No noise of social media, no noise of TVs, radios, music. Just etipsy Maycomb, as I like to say. Me, myself and I. That's Latin, by the way. And just something I learned. I'm not sitting here, I don't claim to know full fluent Latin. It's just a Latin word I know, Latin phrase I know. Etipsy Maycomb. Me, myself and I is what that means. And yeah, as long as you start to learn that it's you that needs to make the shift, be accountable, acknowledge there's an issue, and start to look within yourself. And that is key in understanding the initial stages in making this shift to change what is going on in your life, which is not having the best effect for you. And that's Chani, by the way. She's my pet, Channa. She's a snakehead. I'm a big fish keeper, and this is one of my hobbies. It's one of the things that have kept me going through the years and really supported myself via the quiet times, you know. And I would openly suggest finding hobbies within yourself, so learning new skills, new crafts and stuff like the rest of it. I'm really spending some time on that to take your mind away from the rush of the world itself. It doesn't have to be fish keeping, it can be anything, writing, drawing, whatever that may be, walking, plants, whatever that may be the case. Find yourself a little hobby, and that'll also help you find some time for yourself. So while you're doing your hobby, you can think about things and you can process and you can work through it that way. Little suggestion right at the end of the video. I really hope that you have stayed this long, and if you have, I'm just going to say thank you and for listening to me and hearing my words. I will be sharing a lot more on here on YouTube. I will try to be as consistent as I can, and the content will be longer formed and I'll always talk on subjects sometimes that may be a bit uncomfortable for some to hear, though insightful to say the most and to say the least, and hopefully you can get something from it. Hopefully you might even want to share it with somebody who might get something from it. If not, it's just a safe space for you to come and hear some insights on how somebody has overcome the challenges they have. And that's just a little part of me and my world. Again, I'm going to frequent YouTube with more uploads and insights, and my story will get a bit more easier to understand. The more videos I upload, the more consistent I am. I won't be doing fancy editing and all the rest of it, because I'm not an editor and all the rest. I'm just a simple man, just sharing his mind and just showing you his perspective on working through things, and being where I am today is a far cry from where I started, that's to say the least. Thank you for being here. I'm Craig. This is Craig's Corner. You're welcome to come back here anytime. And if you ever feel like you want to, leave a comment. If you don't have to, and if you stay there for this long, thank you so much, and I appreciate you. And I hope you're doing well. Just remember, you're not on your own. If you need to, come here and sit with me from time to time like a boring old boy, and I'll talk to you with a cup of tea and Chani over here. Let's see if she wants to say that. Here she is. She's very interactive. Thank you for being here, and good night or good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be for you at the time of watching this. Take care.